All right. Hey, guys, we are live today. Steve Moran here with my good friend, Doug, the BTC guru Yates. How we doing, Doug?
Good morning, Steve. Another great day in the blockchain world.
It really is, man. Always lots of cool, fun stuff to see every single day and talk about, right?
Yeah. We were talking about, what's kind of like what you're seeing in the headlines and the headlines I'm looking at. And, there's some overlap there, but it's still different, which is great. 2 points of view is awesome.
Absolutely.
And how, Ethereum's all over the headlines and, which is good. Ethereum is a great blockchain. It has the smart contract part of it that Bitcoin doesn't. There's the future traders of Ethereum are buying up a ton of 8K options. Ethereum's around 3,500 since I think about 10 minutes ago. And so, 8K, that's a huge jump in July, which is like
really
not far,
right? Wow.
Yeah, which is amazing. And then we had the announcement of the banks yesterday, and as people are digesting that, they're basically coming up with the conclusion that this will be the largest retail adoption of a new financial instrument ever.
Yeah, for sure.
And then now I'm looking at the political news and kind of reading in between the lines. Lumber's up 30%. Corn is up 40-something%. Wheat is up 30-something%. Gas is up, double-digit percent. So that's huge inflation. And before you and I just had to take it into shorts, and our dollar our dollar spending thing is down to 50 cents,
Right.
there's an increased income taxes would take even more. All of this is a tax on our spending ability. And now that's why and they're projecting, they used to project that it would be about $1.5 trillion moving into cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're thinking it's $3 to $4 trillion. So and that offsets the inflation that happens. So that here's one thing that I like, and I'll throw it back to you. Is before, when I would look at this inflation news, it just depresses me. It's like, man, I got to work harder for the exact same amount of stuff. Now it excites me because I'm like, oh, geez, my Bitcoin is just going to start skyrocketing to offset that. Gold is going to, as soon as they're not going to be able to control gold and silver much longer because of the whole pressure of inflation, and it's going to copy what the cryptocurrencies are doing. And so it's all good news to me.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. I think wasn't Ethereum created in 2015?
Yeah, right around 15. Yeah,
right around 15. And right now it's got a $383 billion market cap, which is bigger than B of A.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay,
yeah, that's amazing.
So it's like,
I think it's 2.82 trillion for the whole cryptocurrency market, and they say that could go to 5 trillion this year.
I know, it's crazy. We talk about adoption all the time, and one of the things I thought was really interesting last week, the NFL had its big draft, right?
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence, who has been, everybody said was going to be the number one pick for a long, long time, a generational kind of talent, and he's just got an absolutely huge following. And he was the number one pick in the draft, and he said that he's going to take his entire signing bonus in crypto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in crypto, and they expect his signing bonus to be about $22.6 million. So that's they said he's going to have an assortment of Bitcoin and Ethereum and some different things, and they were actually touting some sort of a new wallet. I forget which one that was. I'll have to bring it back for the next time we get together. But they were talking about some sort of wallet that he's going to be kind of promoting along with this. So you get the number one pick in the NFL draft. Okay, this guy's been he's been like the most popular kid in college for the last 4 years.
Oh,
okay.
Geez.
And, if he comes in and all of a sudden, he wants to take all of his money in crypto, I mean, you think that's going to get some attention from people?
Yeah. I mean, and his generation, they're the ones that are going to have to really take this transition and run with it and really implement it in their lifestyle. I had dinner the other day with family and some friends, and I was talking to a young guy from USC. He's on their football team, and he's fired up about it. He's trying to figure out how he can take his little bit of leftover money and get it into crypto and start, that process now, because he could see how it's going to blow up, and he's real excited about it. He was pounding me with questions, which is great. That's what I'm here for. Help the next generations really take this and do what's right with it. There's another thing that's going in the news now. It's and they're trying to like shed negativity on blockchain, saying there's 300 million of found of fraud going through the blockchain and all this kind of stuff. Well, first of all, if you compare that to the fraud that's going on by the banks and such, just look at the headlines over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
The banks are getting fined billions of dollars for laundering money. Okay. They don't go to jail. They just get fined.
Right.
If you and I laundered money, we'd go to jail.
Right.
So that's been going on for ever since banks have been around. And it's like minuscule. It's what's happening in blockchain. And like a couple articles that we showed a few weeks ago, the people in the nefarious world, or the dark world, whatever you want to call it, they don't like the blockchain because everything's visible. It's 100% what's going on. And so that's the future, and visibility and transparency is a good thing. And that's what I love about the blockchain. And we as the people should always fight to keep it that way. We don't want anything hidden. Let's just keep it transparent and do what's right. Offer a great supply, a great service or a product, and do your best to support your customers, love your neighbors, yourself, all that good stuff. And that's what good commerce and good entrepreneurship is all about.
Yeah, it's we talk about Cash App all the time, and I was reading how their earnings were way up again because of the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin has gone way bigger than they had expected.
Yeah.
And before that, I didn't realize that they'd already, their first investment in Bitcoin, they bought $50 million worth of Bitcoin, and then they bought another $170 million. So, that's 220 million. Yeah, and we saw that Tesla has got some in there.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of moving in this whole direction.
I read an article on Square, which owns Cash App, right?
Right.
That they had they just announced that you can start using crypto in their environment, and they kind of had it there before, but they said the adoption rate was, which has kind of been our theme this week, adoption, was way more than they expected, and that's it. It's only going to get bigger. And the great part is we're still at the very beginning of this. We got the earlier adopters like you and I, and we're, if we hang on.
We're past that phase right now with the early.
Yeah, we are past the early adopters, but we're still at the beginning phase of the worldwide adoption of this. I could say we're 5% into that, if from my point of view. So there's a ton of room for growth. And I got a great quote here. I'm going to read it from an article by Bloomberg. It was in thedailyhodl.com, and the headline is Bloomberg analyst calls Bitcoin bull run tame. Here's how high Bitcoin could go this year. And they put in their projections in there, and it's 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, all the same stuff that we've been talking about within the next 18 months. But this is the quote that I love. The supply is shrinking and the demand is rising. Unlike the speculative rallies in the past, the risk for traditional investors has basically been removed. So that's why they're allocating assets into Bitcoin. The diminishing supply juxtaposed with historical low interest rates and the substantial amount of money being pumped into the system, that's that 3-4 trillion we're talking about, form a solid foundation for a price appreciation of the firstborn crypto, Bitcoin. So, that's Bloomberg talking. So, they got some weight. They're not going to just say stuff to say stuff. And this is kind of what you and I have been saying, that the supply is getting harder and harder to get. The demand, with what we're talking about, this adoption rate, with football players and the run-of-the-mill people like us and huge corporations and countries moving their treasury into Bitcoin. It's all, that spring is being compressed. It's going to fly open any minute now.
Yeah, it is. I saw an interesting analogy because it had somebody asking the other day, kind of what's really the difference between like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I thought a really good analogy to that was Bitcoin is very similar to a phone that can take calls and make texts. Okay, Ethereum is like a smartphone. Okay, on top of where you can put build apps on top of it. We used to have the old phones where you could just do calls and texts, right?
Right.
Then the smartphone evolved, and now everybody's got the smartphone. And I think that's why a lot of people see a lot of things happening with Ethereum, because a lot of people kind of think of it more of the smartphone aspect of it, right? Because you can build all these apps on top of it.
Yeah, first of all, I read another just a clip. I was just researching it before we went live, but this guy was talking about Bitcoin and the blockchain, and the blockchain that specifically Bitcoin runs on. They could put anything on top of that. If they wanted to run a smart contract a layer above Bitcoin, they could do that. But Bitcoin is and his point was Bitcoin is the base, the foundation. It's the storage. It's the store of wealth, long-term growth, all that stuff. He was just supporting that and saying how compared to other blockchains, which a lot of these altcoins will come and go. Some have great ideas. Some will not get any traction. Just like any type of new industry, in the .com world, the lot of them came and went, right? And that's what they called the bubble. But there's no bubble here. The Bitcoin and that blockchain processing is here to stay. It's the future based on all of my research and everything I'm studying, is the future of the financial systems across the whole world. And so, get educated, and that's why we're here.
That's it. Hey, it looks like, let me see. Can you see this question if I pop this up here?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, why don't you answer this? Is a good question here from Sally.
Yeah, that's great. So let's just look at Bitcoin. It was designed.
Repeat the question so everybody else can.
Yeah, it was. Where's Bitcoin cryptocurrencies mined? I understand gold and silver mining, which is a physical thing. This is a digital thing. How is it mined? It basically, it's designed. There's 21 million Bitcoins ever, and every so often periods of time or that are happening, that it gets twice as hard to mine the next period of time. Okay. And mining basically means solving equations and algorithms to lock in a block of Bitcoin. And a block of Bitcoin is just a time period between here and here. So let's say it's a 10-minute period. So all these miners, which are just computers solving algorithms, are fighting to solve that blocks in that period of time's algorithm. And whoever does it first gets that block. And that's what mining is. And so there's computers all over the world that are doing this. So that's one part of mining. Another part is, proof of work, which is basically when a transaction happens, it has to be authenticated multiple times. And there's a little fee for that. And so when, as opposed to the mining I just described, when you mine that block, the Bitcoin that are in that block are yours. And then so you could release them or hold on to them. And so that's how new Bitcoins are found or created through these computer algorithms. Computers solving algorithms. So hopefully that's the short answer to that question. And there's two things that kind of been in the news lately. About I think the United States or one of the countries wants a commission on how this mining affects the society at large and all this kind of craziness. Another one was what if they outlaw, I think Iran or Turkey or somebody's trying to outlaw mining, or in fact even New York's trying to do it, outlaw mining. Will that affect the Bitcoin? Will it slow down? No. There's mining. That's what we call decentralized. There's mining computers all over the world. This laptop I'm talking to, can mine. I may or not win it because it has not enough power, but I can mine and I can do authentication on this laptop that I'm talking to you through. So there's millions of these all over the world doing this. And when let's say 50,000 of them go offline for whatever reason, they're immediately replaced by the miners, and they just get back in there because everybody's fighting for the same period, that same block, that same period of time to get those Bitcoins that are in there. And so that's how they're created. And then once the 21 millionth coin, which we should never get at because it's going to keep having, as closer we get to the edge, it's going to have even faster. When I say have, it means it's going to get twice as hard to get the next block mined. It's going to then pretty much the mining will go away from finding it to authenticating transactions, and that's what the future will hold. And then on altcoins are basically the same thing. They're mined the same kind of way. They can be created on top of like a Ethereum blockchain, and they could be just put minted in there without being mined, or they could be mined but the transactions are always authenticated using computer code and such. Hopefully that answers your question. I hope it does.
There you go. Now,
I love the questions, by the way. Keep them coming.
Yeah, some of the other questions we got yesterday were about fees, and I think that's something to, just kind of get everybody to look at. It's when you use Bitcoin, there is a slight fee that happens, every time you use it. And you can kind of think of it. I mean, if you bought a stock or you bought anything like that, there's definitely fees. There's large fees that go involved with that. If you go to the grocery store, and you buy stuff, there's taxes, there's fees on top of that. If you go to a restaurant and buy stuff, it's kind of like little things like that, like almost like everywhere, but the fees on Bitcoin are relatively inexpensive. They have had times when they have spiked, in the past.
On very congested days. Yeah.
But it's relatively inexpensive. What are your thoughts on the fees there, Doug?
Well, fees should get run anywhere from less than 1% to 3 or 4, 5%. 5%, I think it should be the top. If you're like, I think I told the story a couple of days ago. I had my UPS driver. Saw him out there checking his stocks, and I told him, "Hey, jump in the Bitcoin." He told, "Oh, my buddy has tons of Bitcoin, and he can't sell it. It's totally not liquid." I'm like, "What?" Yeah, it's going to cost him 40%. I'm like, "Well, 40%?" I go, "This is outrageous. It should never cost that, ever. Right. At the worst time ever, it should have not cost that much." I go, he needs to move that somewhere else before he liquidates that. So whatever exchange or whatever wallet that's in, go find a wallet that doesn't charge 40%. So you still got to critically think, even in this new Bitcoin and blockchain world, and evaluate what you're doing and be smart about what you're doing. Research what you're doing. Research what we're saying. I'm quoting stuff that I've read online in articles and stuff like that, but do your own research, come to your own conclusions. That's the beauty about freedom and being a free thinker and being able to critical think every day. Go ahead.
We got another question here from Julie. She's asking, do the games out there where you can win Bitcoins, are they authentic? I don't think there can be a standard answer to that. I think that, we have had challenges, as you guys know, if you've been watching the show, we get people that come in here and spam on these posts all the time and are saying, well, we're just so happy. Our life is so good. We're going to give away a whole bunch of Bitcoin. And they ask you for wallet addresses and all kinds of different things. I think that if anything, you just got to look at the source. You got to see if something's true. I mean, if somebody just puts a 2 little word thing in a chat or a message somewhere and it says that they're going to give you a Bitcoin, we got to pretty much think that that's, kind of a do nothing, get paid kind of a deal. And there's not too many of those things out there. If it sounds too good to be true, more than likely it is.
I have very strong opinions on this. You got to assume that it's a fraud, and they got to, in this world, you have to. I've lost. How do you tell you? It's embarrassing.
Yeah. We like to think we've been in this game for a while, but we still make the same mistakes, right?
Yeah, I've tried the Bitcoin doublers. They work for a little bit, and then they use the growth of the Bitcoin to do it. Then pretty soon, when Bitcoin goes flat, they can't do it anymore. I've tried the high yield programs. 99.99% of those are fraudulent. And I've done my research where I checked out the company, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So you got to be very careful. Anybody asking you to send them Bitcoin and then they're going to double it or increase it and send it back to you, 100% fraud. Don't do that.
Fraud,
Are there faucets on the internet where you can look at ads click on website pages, answer questions, do surveys, and get paid in Satoshis? Yes, and those are awesome. In fact, in the very near future, I at this company that I'm a CTO at, we developed a faucet page that had a list of all the great faucets out there. And it's pretty up to date. It's up to date probably about 3-4 months because some of those come and go. But if for those of you that have a lot of time and not hardly any money, it's a great way to earn Satoshis, which Satoshis is just a little teeny bit of Bitcoin. A few $100.
Tell me what a faucet is. What is a faucet to those who aren't
Yeah, well, a faucet is just basically a way that you perform an action on the internet, and in return they pay you in a cryptocurrency. Like Doge, I had 100,000 Doge coins at one point because I was doing this faucet where you answer a bunch of questions, kind of surveys, demographics type of stuff, and they pay you in Doge coins. And then I stopped doing it, and 6 months later, my account gets canceled, and those just came and went. Wish I would have kept it, but back then it wasn't in a real coin. I mean, there's craziness. But there are some great faucets out there. I don't want to think
we could recommend some of them that you've checked out and that you've done in the past. We should maybe bring some of those one every show. Maybe we can bring something out
in fact, I'm really not here to promote my other businesses, but MarketHive.com. If you can join for free. We have a built-in faucet inside of there, so we have a news group and a blogging and capture pages, all this great stuff, and everything you do in there, you get some coin. It's not Bitcoin; it's MarketHive's coin, but there's also a page in there where it lists a lot of outsized faucets where you can earn Litecoin and which is a great coin out there. Keep your eyes on Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin. It's all small little teeny parts of these that you can earn for this, and I'll get. I don't have it right here in front of me, but I'll get the link to the page. It's pretty up to date, but you could just type in faucets into DuckDuckGo. I wouldn't use Google as much. I always recommend the other one, and it's just Bitcoin faucets, and there's a list of ones out there. Just don't. Obviously don't send somebody your bank information or send somebody cryptocurrency and they say they're going to increase it for you. Don't do that. 100% fraud.
Yeah.
It's the whole Nigerian thing all over again.
Yeah. There's a lot of scams out there where, people have supposedly got these trading successes and things like that, and then they ultimately end up being, pyramids. It's like, people come out and everybody looks like they're making money and gets all excited and gets everybody involved. And, it's just kind of basically becomes an electronic pyramid, you know? So just, like Doug says, I think the best thing to do is to assume that it's not legit. Okay. And then figure out if they can prove you're wrong.
Right. Now, are there gambling sites and lotto sites that pay off in crypto? I don't know. I haven't really researched that. I'm sure that's possible. If you're just signing up for a contest and you might win something, there's nothing wrong with that. I do that all the time. But just, don't be fronting money. That's right. That's rule number one. Second, if they're promising and guaranteeing vast returns, it's probably going to blow up in their face. Even if they're trying to be legit up front, it's always going to blow up. Look at Bernie Madoff, biggest Ponzi scheme in the world, and he was audited like 4 times and passed all the audits.
Just because he had a secret floor and a secret room there where they were doing all the stuff.
Yeah, you saw the movie.
If everything was on the blockchain, that couldn't have happened, right?
Right, absolutely.
Two sets of books on the blockchain. So that'll be another thing that'll be interesting. It'll be easier to ferret things out, maybe 10 years down the road.
I think so. Is
because, if you've got a business that's a relatively new business, but they're not on the blockchain at that point, that's going to give you some, sign to pause, right? Maybe to think about, hey, why did they decide not to go onto the blockchain? Okay.
That's hilarious to think about because
right.
Like 2-3 years ago, people were going blockchain. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And now they're like, you're not on the blockchain. It's probably going to be a fraud. Which that's pretty cool. That's a great juxtaposition.
Think about it. What companies are going to go out there and be doing that stuff if they have bad intentions, right? They're certainly not going to go on the blockchain. Look at, everybody used to think that, Bitcoin and all these things were totally, you can get away with all this stuff. And look what happened to Silk Road, I mean, granted, the feds didn't know much about how to work that Bitcoin ledger and how to really get through it all. Okay.
Right.
But they figured it out.
Yeah.
and with all the money and resources the United States government has, once they figure something out, they got it pretty well snooped out now,
Yeah.
And so now it's going to be a lot easier for them to do things because they won't have to be looking for, subpoenaing bank records and trying to find second sets of books and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like they can really just go right there into the blockchain and see if things are really happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, you got to remember, the blockchain in its simplest form is just an online ledger. So it's like, this was moved from here to here, and it was this much, and it was approved, and then it was moved, from this much was moved from here to there, and it was approved, and so you could, that whole trail, the whole blockchain is still in the whole blockchain, and all these computers that are mining and doing what they call proof of work, which is authenticating the transactions, they have a copy of the whole blockchain on their computer. So that's why, when it gets real busy, it gets bogged down because the whole blockchain is, the millions upon, it's going to be trillions pretty soon of transactions are all in one place, and everybody has a copy of that because that's how they authenticate it. They look at their copy, they compare it to a bunch of other people's copy. If it all jives, and then the algorithm, the cryptology part checks out with the check digits and stuff. Then you authenticate that transaction. You get a little teeny piece of the fee for doing that, and then you move on to the next one. And so that's why in your mind. Plus, slow means could be hours. I mean, you try to send money to Europe. I mean, it's going to take days, sometimes weeks. It takes a few hours now, and it's only getting better as the computers get faster. It's going to get, better. And the Lightning Network it runs on top of Bitcoin. Is totally helping with the transaction speed on Bitcoin, and Ethereum is moving from proof of stake to proof of work to speed that up, and to just for other reasons they're making vast improvements to get the gas prices down low, which is the fee. Gas prices in Ethereum is the fees. And so, it's all getting better and better. So, be a little patient with this new industry. It's awesome. Jump into it, get educated, and just watch, enjoy the show, because this is an incredible journey that we're on right now.
Now, are all of the coins out there? They're not all on the blockchain. I've heard that some of them are still fairly secretive as to the transactions. Isn't Monero something like that? Or
well, Monero, you don't know the source of the addresses are also encrypted, so you don't know specifically what wallet it's coming from, and specifically what wallet it's going to. Monero's a great blockchain. In fact, at one point in time, the company I'm CTO at, we thought about running on the Monero one because privacy is very important to us. But we decided to go on the Ethereum, and now moving over to Cardano, the 88 chain. But yeah, that's just Monero. They're designed to be very, very private. So that now, can that be used for good or bad? Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Right. Just like anything, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've anything else we got going on today, Doug?
It's a great Friday. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, we should be ready with some stuff. Really,
yeah.
Cool.
Bitcoin never sleeps. By the way, it's going to be working all weekend for you.
That's it. And we should have some pretty cool stuff here ready first part of the week. How are we doing on that side? Doing pretty good?
Yeah, we're doing great on that. Yeah, we'll have we should be able to ask first part of next week, something that, our goal here is to help you earn while you're learning. And so we want to provide some services and some education to be able to do that. And we've been working hard behind the scenes on that, and we're getting ready to release it to y'all.
So yeah, I think that's probably it here for today, guys. I mean, if everybody have a great weekend, and let's watch the crypto markets go up over the weekend, and we'll see you guys first thing Monday.
That's right on. See ya.